Did you know that you can automate over 20% of your entire Shopify store's revenue using email marketing? Did you know that you could also be missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue by not having these automations in place and are likely leaving a lot of money on the table as we speak? If not, don't worry. In this guide, I'm going to show you how to build the best possible email automations for your brand and use these to help you as you scale to 8 figures and beyond. Let's get into it. So before we begin, to be clear, we're talking about how you can automate 20% of your store's revenue. And given the nature of these flows, they're a point of extremely high leverage for your brand, and it's important to get them right in the first time. As a result as well, because these will be going off in an automated fashion to people, even one pro tip or one insight here or there could lead to tens of thousands for you, if not hundreds of thousands, potentially millions, depending on the scale of your brand. So definitely keep watching here because there are plenty of nuggets inside the video. Before we get into that, we're just going to show you a little bit of proof here from a couple of our clients' accounts. Here's one brand doing nearly 300 grand a month from their flows, another here doing over 200 grand a month from their flows, another one here doing the same, doing over $236,000 a month from their flows. So this kind of goes to show that these are extremely powerful. This is automated, and as you can see here in terms of the total store revenue, in most cases this is coming up to nearly 25% of the store's revenue for a couple of our clients here. So definitely keep watching here. Now, before that as well, we'll go into a quick FAQ section here, just so we're all fully up to speed with the number of the terms that I'm going to be bringing up throughout the course of this video. So what are flows? Flows are an automated series of emails which get sent out when someone on your list takes particular action, such as abandoning a cart, or they gain a certain characteristic like joining a segment. We then have the use case of flows here, which is to give customers more touch points, build trust on the way to a purchase, and to improve advertising efficiency, because we are putting hard-earned dollars into platforms like Meta and Google all the while these are running. If we can reduce abandoned carts, if we can increase the conversion rate of our store, if we can get a higher number of repeat purchases on our store, this is a massive win. And like we say, this is going to massively improve the efficiency of the advertising that you're going to be running on the front end, on Meta, on TikTok, on Google, and other platforms. You could also ask, could I not just send campaigns? This is a rare question I have actually gotten from a couple of brand owners in the last few months. And in theory, yes, you definitely could, but flows will generally have a far higher revenue per recipient when you send them. This means that per send, you'll actually earn more from flows. And this is normally a multiple. This is normally 3 to even 20x, depending on the flow of what you would actually get from a campaign. This is because in many flows, they're actually going to be triggered by an action which is showing interest from that person in making a purchase from your brand, such as abandoning a cart. In the case of a store with about a $75 AOV, we normally see around $2 a recipient on average per abandoned checkout message that we're actually sending out to people, whereas we normally see around 10 cents per recipient on a normal campaign sent. So do not just rely on campaigns, even though theoretically you could, you definitely should not. Finally, what flows we're going to cover today? We're going to go through some extremely important ones, which are the welcome series, the site abandoned, the browse abandoned, the abandoned cart, the abandoned checkout, the post-purchase follow-up series, and of course the customer win-back flow. So these are really going to be some great flows here. These in particular, I would sort of call the core flows all the way down to here. And then this is kind of an ancillary flow, as we would say, which is still going to help you quite a lot in terms of improving efficiency across the store. So finally, how we're going to go through things is we're going to go through the flows in order. We'll go through the strategy first of all, in terms of how you should be thinking about these flows and the principles behind them. We'll go through the technical setup that actually enables that strategy to work. And then we're going to go through example emails which fit into the strategy. So you can see exactly how we're thinking on the macro and in the micro and actually getting this all done to produce as much revenue as possible. So now that we know that these are the 3 areas, let's actually get into the flows here. So the first flow that we're going to go through here is the welcome series for non-buyers. This is absolutely the most important flow in the entire account. And it's crucial that you get it right because it does set the precedent for all the communication you're actually going to be sending to that subscriber throughout the course of them being subscribed to your list. So in making a good first impression, we also want to do a couple of other things. We want to make sure that we're maximizing the early conversions. We want to make sure that we're brand building in the middle of the flow. So we're actually letting them know a lot more about us, what we're all about, and all that kind of thing. And then finally, we want to scoop up late conversions towards the end of the flow. This goes more into the concept of improving advertising efficiency, like I spoke about earlier. Now, within your welcome series, there are a couple of pitfalls that you want to avoid. You want to avoid it being too short. This is around the sub 6 email range. That to me is simply too short for a welcome series in 2024 and beyond. You want to avoid just selling and mix in some content emails there. You want to make sure to vary or increase the incentive later on. And you want to make sure that the copy isn't boring. You can actually see in these 4, you can kind of map onto the 3 principles what they're supposed to do in terms of avoiding it being too short. Well, that's going to help us scoop up late conversions, and it's also going to help us brand build. Avoid just selling, mix in some content emails. It's going to help us brand build a lot. Varying or increasing that incentive later on is of course going to help efficiency, and making the copy exciting and not boring, well, that's going to help all 3 of them. So let's go into these in depth. I don't want to just say to you, let's use these exact emails when I'm talking about making the flow long enough, I want to kind of show you what goes into good content within a welcome series, so I can give you that freedom to put in whatever it is that you'd like. And then right after, I'll show you some example emails so you can sort of see how the strategy works. So welcome series can actually be very broad. You know, when I was beginning in email marketing many moons ago at this stage, I received welcome series emails where I was genuinely wondering if they were part of the welcome series or if they were campaign emails, as in they were quite bemusing. The strategy was very interesting. And it made me realize quite early on that you can put anything in a welcome series, provided that it does one of three things, which is either building status, building trust, or building belief in what you're claiming. So let's dive into these more. Status is a game of positioning your brand correctly. So some of the things that you can do here are showing where you've been featured in well-known publications. Like right here, we see Goop, we see Birdie, we see Forbes. So this is a specific application of the principles. You know, accolades you've received. Are there awards that you've received? Have Trustpilot awarded you something? And, you know, an independent sort of review site, have they claimed that your brand is excellent in terms of the service you're providing your customers? If you can put this somewhere, this is massively increasing your status as a brand, and that's something really, really effective to do to build you in the customer's mind. Trust is the next thing, which is kind of showing a little bit behind the scenes. It's showing, you know, us being reputable right away to our subscribers. So we can show how products are made, we can show some behind the scenes stuff, a lot of our reviews, any satisfaction guarantees that we may have. This is all going to build trust with the customer. Here you can see two great examples. This one from Represent, where they're showing their YouTube channel and showing behind, you know, what's going into actually building the brand. This is something that many subscribers would love to watch and kind of put a face to a name and see who it is behind the products that they're actually buying. And here we see something from one of our clients, which is actually their Trustpilot rating. They're rated excellent on Trustpilot. So this is something that we like to put everywhere, because Trustpilot is independent. And as a result, a lot of people, especially in certain countries, in Europe, in the UK, Trustpilot is looked at as, you know, very, very reputable, very much so in the US, but definitely with European customers, they trust Trustpilot quite a lot. So this is a great thing to put into their emails. Finally, we have belief. So belief is built by demonstration. It's show, don't tell. Show me, how do the products function? Show me, how do the products work? And so on and so forth. We can do this with results. We can do it with testimonials. We can do it with comparisons. You can see two great examples here, both from skincare brands. You can see the first one is going into, you know, comparing us to other brands and showing how we put quality ingredients into all of our products and how others quite often don't. Then we can see a transformation with this customer right here, where her skin has massively improved in a short space of time just using those products. So these are incredible ways to build trust with people over time. So that's how we're going to avoid it being too short. And here's how we're going to avoid just selling and why you should avoid just selling. Let me refresh you on why subscribers join your list, or how they join your list in the first place, and how you want to vary that stimulus to incite a better response. So they come to us through, you know, our social ads, through our search, through, you know, SEO, any kind of other platforms, and then they go and they opt in to receive email marketing. What happens with many welcome series, unfortunately, is that brands send essentially the same email 4 times in a row. And that hurts things on the whole, because people don't have a new stimulus which actually makes them want to engage. As Arnold Schwarzenegger famously said, you want to shock the muscle in order to keep it growing, i.e. give someone a new stimulus to get a new reaction. So let's look at the difference below from these two welcome series. We can see the bottom one where we're looking at 10% off, which then goes to a letter from the founder, which then could go into, let's say, comparison before and after, which could then go into more of a selling email, which reminds them of their 10% off, where then we could go into a quiz of what product is right for you and go back to selling. And then we could go to a content email that shows a behind the scenes of how we run things at the brand. Let's show them off the warehouse. Let's show them what we're working on behind the scenes. And then we could vary the incentive and go to a free gift with purchase at the end. You can see we're giving different stimuli here all the time. We can still plug the welcome offer right at the end, but we're actually intriguing them when we're brand building in the middle while we're selling. This is extremely, extremely effective. And here you can see some really nice welcome series content ideas to kind of prop that up. From points 1 and 2, you can see a founder's story here. You can see a reviews email. And then here you can see a real benefits email, which is showing people, not telling them, showing them from Athletic Greens. Finally, the same here, kind of promoting a membership with the brand. So principle number 3 is to vary or increase the incentive later on. Similar to the above, very, very impactful thing to do. If you're going to increase the incentive, just make certain that you're only doing that for non-buyers, because this trick is just meant to catch the last few conversions of people who weren't going to buy, just to give them something to kind of sweeten the deal. See if we can get them over to line to push them through our post-purchase flows and beyond after that. Another pro tip there is just put it live for a certain period of time. Make sure it has an end date on there to give it some urgency for others. So once people have urgency, that's going to make them act a lot more readily than it would do if they didn't. So that's a little pro tip too. Then we move on to not making the copy boring. So I'm going to have a full copywriting guide coming later on in the course that I'm releasing, but I just want to briefly give some pointers on the copy for the welcome series. You want to keep it fun and brief while still being on brand. You want to have one big idea per email. Don't kind of have things muddled. Don't have multiple messages that you're sending to the customer at the same time. In line with that point, you want to be showing different benefits. If the product has many different benefits, you want to be showing those off in a very clear manner, not muddling that message. And then you want to have one or multiple of the 6 elements of persuasion. This is going to be in a copywriting guide that I will be releasing on the channel, and also a course that I'm going to be releasing on the channel. So don't worry, that is coming, but you want to have one of these 6 elements of persuasion. So we want to make a longer flow. We want to write engaging copy. We want to vary or increase the incentives later on in the flow. We want to mix offer emails with some content first emails to vary things up a little bit. If you do all of these, you're going to have a smashing welcome series, and you're going to be well on your way to having an amazing flow suite inside of your account. We then move on to the site abandon flow. This flow is very simple, more of a best practice have within the account. It's just going to be sent to people. It goes onto our website. So they go active, they're on either the homepage or a collections page. They don't view a specific product page. They don't add to cart. They don't initiate checkout, and they don't place an order. So this is for people who've just basically come onto our website and then essentially immediately left. All you need here is one email. It could be super simple. You just want them to move on to the next stage of the funnel and get them to view a product page. Then hopefully move on to add items in their cart and purchase, as you can see. So because we're just trying to sell the click, we'll often do ideas like this, where we're saying tap the picture that best represents your personal style, followed by 4 photos if it's a fashion client. Tap the picture you best feel represents your personality or the biggest problem you're facing right now. And then you're going to have corresponding pictures to get people to click. They'll go on and view a product, and they're going to be pushed down the funnel. Pretty playful flow. You don't want it to be creepy because they've just come onto the website and bounced off. You just want to have it be pretty casual. Pulled in a little example here, which is just sort of pulling in lots of different items that they could click on. This is pretty casual idea where you can just show some hero products that are very popular, just as this brand is doing right here, and people can click. You will then go to a product page, and then they're going into the browse abandon flow, and so on. So the next flow we're going to move on to is the browse abandon flow. It comes just after the site abandon, meaning the almost highest touch point that the customer has had is that they've viewed a product. They haven't added to cart, they haven't initiated checkout, and as a result, we're going to have a viewed product event that is going to trigger this flow. So what you want to do content-wise is bear in mind what someone is likely thinking at this point in the funnel. They might be looking at competitors, alternatives, potentially even Amazon they could be looking at, and as a result, now is a great time to reiterate your benefits and your unique selling points all throughout the flow. We also want to make this flow a bit longer, around the 5 to 7 emails long range, and use what we call Trojan horse emails. These are emails that indirectly sell. So an example would be 3 reasons to buy from this brand. We're the customer demographic, so we actually started the brand because we couldn't find products that we personally wanted. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews, and then finally your offer is expiring. So we kind of meander into selling there. We start with a curiosity-based lead, and then we sell at the end. I pulled in some email examples here. You can kind of have a look through these as well. These are really nice to pull in for browse abandoned. If you want to set this flow up, just make sure checkout started 0 times since starting this flow, added to cart 0 times since starting this flow, placed order 0 times since starting the flow, and we would also go has not been in flow in the last 30 days and has placed order 0 times in the last 30 days, just so someone's not getting hammered with emails from this flow. The next flows that we're going to move on to are the abandoned cart and abandoned checkout flows. Along with the welcome series, these are probably going to be some of the biggest revenue drivers inside the entire account, so you need to nail this flow. In order to nail this, we want to think of where someone is in the funnel again. At this point, they really want to buy, but there's just something that's holding them back. So this is going to be an objection, which can take various forms, such as the price, trust, product quality concerns, why buy it now, shipping, returns, do I really want it, will I regret buying? These are some of the most common objections that you generally get from customers. As a result, you want to be handling objections consistently throughout the course of this flow. So in line with that, from a strategy perspective, there are 3 things which are going to make a really effective abandoned checkout flow. You want to handle objections throughout and ensure that you do so directly. You want to ensure that the technical structure is set up to convert. You want to make sure that there's social proof also, and make sure that there are potentially even risk reversals available for the customer to drive those conversions. So let's go into depth on all of these. With handling objections, you want to tackle these in both a covert and overt manner. So you want to hit them in each email, but something we like to do as well is actually go through all the objections that a customer might be potentially facing and just do it in one full email, oftentimes in plain text. This is an example of doing that where we actually line up all of the potential reasons someone might not buy, and we go through why they're actually not issues, why we've actually solved those for you and taken that complexity off your plate. But here are some more ways that you can kind of do this just throughout all of the emails by hitting on a couple of the points throughout. We have a Mythbuster email here from Hims, which is really good for handling objections that someone might have about buying those kinds of products on the internet. We then have a quality first objection handler here from the Sunday Collective. This is really effective, as you're seeing, really pushing that quality build angle. And then here from Better Brand, we have this angle of everything that's going into our products is fully clean, and we're always, crossing our T's, dotting our I's and stuff as a brand. So that's how we handle objections. But now we want to go into the technical structure and how we can set this up to convert. So internally, we often refer to the abandoned checkout in particular as kind of a nerd's flow, meaning that technical structure beats almost more than copy, more than design, more than any of the other factors which go into a strong flow. So 2 things we want to do here is split this flow up based on whether or not someone is qualified for free shipping, and also split it up based on their number of previous orders to see if they are a buyer or just a lead for now. What you can see below is an example from one of our clients where we actually split it up when someone's cart is over $50, which is when they would qualify for free shipping. As we can see here with the free shipping split, it has about 1,700 deliveries, just about half of what the no free shipping split has, which is about 3,300 deliveries. And you can see with the revenue generated, it is pretty insane. It's $5,410 versus just under $3,000. But when you go revenue per recipient and do that calculation, the free shipping group has a revenue per recipient that is 3.53 times that of the people who don't have free shipping. So this is how impactful it is, just to let someone know, hey, you have free shipping, you've qualified for this, why not go on and purchase? We can also split things up based on the number of orders because previous buyers don't need as much convincing to purchase from us. This is something that's just going to help profit margins overall for your brand by not incentivizing as much for people who have already bought before and don't really need anything else to push them over the line. This also has a side benefit of being able to address people a little more personally. You know, we can say, hey, we want you to come back rather than we want you to try, and just let them know that we value them as a customer. Finally, then we have social proof. This is at least a little bit of a simpler one. You know, this is just about pulling in your best reviews and anything else you can use to position your brand really well. So publications who featured you, you know, celebrity endorsements. And here we can see an example of a killer review, and we can see an example of fixed social proof that you could put into your email templates to really help conversions, build that status, build that trust, build that belief throughout all of your flows. Also, if you want to go through the technical setup in depth, we have another free training on our YouTube channel, which goes through the exact technical setup for setting up the abandoned cart flows and setting up the abandoned checkout flows, including all the technical blocks inside those emails to dynamically show people their products. You can go onto those super in-depth guides. So yeah, abandoned cart, abandoned checkout, a little bit of a longer one, at least technically. But to summarize, you want to get that structure right, you want to handle objections directly, and you want to put social proof and good content everywhere in the flow to increase conversions. We now move on to the post-purchase flow. We have crossed the Rubicon. We have gone past first purchase. We are now into the post-purchase flows. So strategies here will kind of change a little bit as a result with it being post-purchase as opposed to pre-purchase, like all of the other flows that we just went through. Meaning now we're not just trying to drive instant conversions. We're trying to often assist a customer journey here and push for a sale at the correct time rather than right away. There are also some principles that we're going to suggest here that you need to abide by to make this flow as powerful as possible. So here, email is really going to show its worth as a profitability increasing channel. Repeat orders have less marketing cost attached to them as you don't have the new customer acquisition cost attached to the sale. So that's why it's really important for this area of the account to be really strong, because it reduces our payback period on our marketing dollars and also allows us to scale further on front-end ad spend, like we say. So here are our principles for our clients at KMH to make this post-purchase flow as strong as possible. We want to genuinely thank customers. We want to structure the flow properly. We want to build the brand story in the customer's mind. We want to grow the SMS list, and we want to push for another sale and use soft incentives for loyal customers at the right moments. So let's go into all of these now. So the first step is genuinely thanking customers. Now, so many brands that we speak to do not actually genuinely thank customers after a purchase, and believe me when I say that has an enormous effect on future behavior, because it is something that you definitely note as a consumer. It's very rare, very few brands do this, and we highly recommend doing it. Now, the language will of course be tailored brand by brand depending on the voice, but this can always be done in your own way. So we have an example pulled in here. This is more of an anniversary email, but still super powerful. It's still really good for you to be pulling in here. You can see the copy in here, really personable. If you were a consumer getting this, you would absolutely love that. We have then just a plain text thank you here after someone's first purchased. Really good time to use plain text. Plain text emails are incredible use at the right times. Post-purchase is one of those times where it's great to use plain text emails. And then here, as people make more purchases, we want to communicate slightly differently. This is where we get just the kind of super customer category past 3 purchases, past 4 purchases. We just want to let them know that we value them as such. So past genuinely thanking customers, we want to structure the flow properly from a technical perspective. Just like the abandoned cart and checkout flow, the technical structure here is kind of supremely important, I should say. We got to make sure that people get the right message depending on their characteristics as a customer. I also want to make sure these messages are sent at the right time. That is almost just as key when it comes to the structure. So we often like to split up this flow based on being 1x buyers, 2x buyers, 3x buyers, and then 4x buyers and above. Each stream is treated a little bit differently in terms of the content and strategy, so we can go through all of these in depth and kind of show you what those differences are. With 1x buyers, we want to first thank people. It's the first step in priming them to buy again, like we say. Don't jump right down their throat. This can actually have the opposite effect in terms of driving them away and actually leading to less conversions overall, ironically. So instead of that, thank them genuinely, and then we can move on to brand building, getting their phone number ideally for SMS marketing and pushing for a second purchase at the right time. We actually normally do that in a separate flow, which I'll talk about in a different video, but that's what we want to do. Then we move on to 2x buyers. So these purchasers are displaying far more loyalty to us, and we want to acknowledge that loyalty. We can soft incentivize them to become VIPs by saying they'll get benefits once they become a VIP at that 3 purchase mark. These people don't need huge offers to actually convert again unless they clearly like the brand. So don't go out giving massive offers here. You definitely don't need to. So structure wise with this flow, we have a little bit of a simpler task. We want to thank them genuinely. Once again, we want to let them know that they can become a VIP if they buy once more and all the benefits that come with that status as a VIP. And then finally, we want to remind them that they can become a VIP if they haven't yet purchased for the third time. Then with the 3x buyers, the content is quite simple. Just another genuine thank you. Let them into the VIP flow and receive their first offers as a result. And with 4x buyers, massive thank you. You know, these people are your superstars. These people are your super fans who could go on and purchase 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Think of the lifetime value of that customer. These people are extremely important to your brand. So let's actually move on to the content here, because within the content, we want to reiterate our story to the reader, kind of help them emotionally connect with us as a company. Arguably the biggest factor in getting people to purchase again from you over and over, especially outside of brands that have, you know, a real legacy. Think of Nike, Adidas, any brands under the LVMH umbrella. Those brands who have legacy kind of operate from a different perspective. But for brands generally in the D2C space, the best thing you have really is specificity and using that to kind of gain emotional connection with the customer. You may not have the heritage of a brand like Nike or Louis Vuitton, but you can communicate to your customer in such a specific way that it creates a real connection with them that they will never have with a brand like that. So take a look at a couple of these emails to see what I mean. You have this kind of pet email here, really, really nice. I don't think many massive brands will be able to kind of do that. Here's actually a welcome series email, but it was one I really, really liked. And then here we have one from one of our clients as well, really pushing that post-purchase to kind of build that emotional connection. So after that brand building and emotional connection component, we want to actually grow our SMS list. This is actually a really, really good time to gain SMS subscribers. And if someone's on your email list and has bought, they've naturally displayed more intent than someone who has just subscribed to your list. So why not let them know, hey, you like getting our emails? I'm sure you probably like getting our text messages as well. I have a couple of examples of these actually just pushing people over to the list. Really, really nice email here from Better Brand as well. And then another one here from Grazza. And then once the timing is right, we want to push for another sale. Use what we call soft incentives for loyal customers. This is mainly by saying, hey, once you become a VIP, once you purchase a number of times, you get many, many benefits. You're not going to get those benefits now necessarily, but once you're a VIP, you will be getting lots of cool offers as you go on your journey. You can see this here, really nice email doing so. So to conclude on the post-purchase flow, we want to thank people genuinely. We want to structure the flow properly. We want to build the brand somewhat throughout the flow. We want to push people to sign up for SMS. We want to soft incentivize repeat buyers to become VIPs. So we are now onto our final two flows, which are really just ancillary flows. These are the customer win-back flow and the sunset unengaged flow. So within the customer win-back flow, this flow is more of a best practice to sort of have within your account. It's important to get it right, but don't expect it to be a massive revenue generator. So this is how you technically set it up. It's just gonna be two simple emails. You know, we miss you, are you coming back? And so on. So this is how you technically set it up. We'll generally do the delay anywhere from 75 days to 365 days, depending on how aggressive you want to be, but 120, 135, 150, generally a good range to start in. So this is just going to be two simple emails. You know, we miss you, are you coming back? Here's an example that we made. Really, really nice email here just to try and pull people back. An example two, again, that's a full customer win back flow. That's really all you need. Then we go into the sunset unengaged, super simple flow, 1 to 2 emails once again. This is going to be triggered by someone joining our highly unengaged segment. So for us, this means that they haven't engaged at all in roughly a year. And once this happens, they enter a flow which sends around 1 to 2 last ditch emails, which is just to get them to open or click. So if they don't open or click, we will then suppress them and not email them at all in the future. We don't want to be paying for that profile because they're never going to come back and purchase if they haven't purchased, or they haven't engaged, I should say, with us in over a year. They're really not coming back, because a year is going to include Black Friday in there. So if they haven't purchased then or come back or engaged even in that period, safe to assume that they're not coming back at any point. This is the simple trigger setup. So added to segment, this is going to be highly unengaged. They've opened email, clicked email 0 times in starting the flow. Then a simple email like this, you know, is this goodbye? Something like that, just to get them to open, something kind of clickbaity. You know, if they do open, they'll go back into an engaged segment. We can then mail them with our campaigns. But if they don't, well, they're gone off our list. And there we have it. You now know how to set up your flows and automate hundreds of thousands in revenue for your brand every single year, potentially every single month, depending on the scale that you're operating at. And just remember, your flows are a constant source of leverage, and going the extra mile with them will pay huge dividends for you. Study this document end to end, implement its principles, and you will profit greatly. If you enjoyed, make sure you're following below. You can follow our newsletter. These links are going to be in the description, our social medias, and also subscribe to our YouTube for more guides. That is the end of this guide with all of the flows, but we have many, many more videos on our channel which you can look at. Now, finally, in this video, we obviously showed you how to set up the flows for your brand, but we didn't give you the entire email marketing strategy that we use, including how we grow lists rapidly and also use our campaign strategy in order to drive repeat buyers, drive higher conversions for your brand, and increase profit margins over time. So if you want to learn about the entire strategy end to end, not just flows, you can click on this video right here and learn how we made over $6.7 million for just 3 of our clients in a 12-week period. I'll see you there.